Hello everyone, this is data for the income of the farmers before and the income of the farmers after. So the research is all about determining the impact of a farming technology to the annual income of farmers before the technology was integrated and after the technology was integrated. In this case, we have 20 farmers. So let us say this farmer, before the technology was introduced or used by this farmer, the income was 13,450. And it went up to 14,950 after the technology was introduced to them. So in this case, we are going to use the Jasp software for the analysis of the data. So in this example, our measure is a continuous data, so this is the income of the farmers. So the appropriate tests that we are going to use for this is basically paired t-test or t-test for dependent samples. So in this scenario, we are going first to save our file in a CSV format. Remember that the Jasp software cannot successfully import an Excel file. So in this case, a CSV format or file type should be used before it will be imported in the Jasp software. So all you have to do is just to click File, click Save As, and change the file format into CSV or comma separated values. So let us assume here the file name for our data is income farmers, and then you click save. Remember where you saved your file so that later when you import your data set, you can easily locate the data. Okay, so this time we are going to open the Jasp software. This is the welcome home screen of the Jasp software. The latest version of the software is Jasp 0.14. Again, this is a freeware with a structural support from the University of Amsterdam. Remember, in our example, we tried to determine if the income of the farmers before and after the technology was introduced to them significantly increased or differ significantly. So in this scenario, we are going to import our data. You have here the three bars on the left portion of the screen here. You click the three bars, you click Open, Computer, and then Browse. Remember where you saved your file. So in my case, I saved the file in the desktop. So click Browse, click incomefarmers.csv. In this case, we have successfully imported our data, and this is the income before and the income of the farmers after. You may also want to change the file type for the income before, considering that we have categorized it as a ratio data or a scale data. So you may click Scale. So remember, in research, if this is the approach or this is the area of interest, probably you asked first the question, what is the income of the farmers before the technology was introduced to them? And your second question would be, what is the income or the average income of the farmers after the technology was introduced to them? So in that case, we can use t-test for dependent samples or paired samples t-test to analyze the data. You click t-test, this is between descriptives and ANOVA buttons, and then click paired samples. So all you have to do is to click the income before and paired it with income after. So automatically, the moment you drag your data into the variable pair box, the result of the inferential analysis automatically pop out. And in this case, our p-value is less than 0.001. So we may have a 5% alpha level. So if the p-value is 0.05 and below, the difference in the income before and the income after of the farmers is significantly different. So in this case, since our p-value is less than 0.05, therefore, the income of the farmers before and after the technology was introduced to them is significantly different. So remember that our first question, what is the average income of the farmers before the technology was introduced to them and after the technology was introduced to them? So in this case, you may click the descriptives and it will automatically give you the result of the analysis. So here is the result of the analysis. The income before of the farmers, before the technology was introduced to them, was 12,822 on the average. After you introduced the technology, the income increased from 12,822 to 13,297 on the average. The question now, is there a significant difference in the income of the farmers before and after the technology was introduced to them? So in this case, our p-value is less than the set alpha level, which is 0.05. So therefore, we can say that the difference is statistically significant. So what does it mean? From 12,822 before the technology was introduced to them, so what does it mean? Before the technology was introduced to them, the average income of the farmers was only 12,822 on the average. But after the technology was introduced, it went up to 13,297, and t-tests for dependent samples confirm that the difference in their income before and after the technology was introduced to them is statistically significant.